Welcome to the advent of AI. I'm your host, Paul Drake. I am excited to be joined by Anthony. Anthony, how do you pronounce your last name? Let's just start with that.
It's Alugbin. Alugbin.
Alugbin. Okay. Anthony is working on an incredible application of AI. We've talked a lot in especially in agency circles and carriers. There's a lot of focus on efficiencies. And I'm trying with this podcast to show more applications of AI other than just making people work faster and do more with less. This is a really unique case. And I think Anthony is really poised as a subject matter expert to talk about not just how AI is working, but how significant of a problem this is, and how AI being able to help with this particular problem is going to have ripple effects across the industry because it's going to make a significant impact on compliance, which is one of the, I hate to speak for you, Anthony, but it doesn't seem like compliance is something that people are, is just like everyone's favorite topic, but it's so crucially important. So I want to give a quick introduction. Anthony, I'll let you introduce yourself, and Gather AI is his company. I'll let you just kind of talk quickly about what you do, and then we'll jump right into our subject today, which is compliance.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me, and thanks for taking the leadership on kind of evangelizing what it means to actually use AI for the betterment of the entire insurance value chain. So my name is Anthony. I'm one of the founders of a company called Gather.ai. And what we're trying to solve for is one of the redheaded stepchildren of insurance, right? As you said, nobody ever thinks about the regulatory frameworks or the compliance side of their business until it's too late, right? And what we've seen is that fundamentally there's a huge disconnect between what senior managers understand about what it takes to be compliant and the actual work effort. So what we're trying to do is basically help them be more empowered, help them run their businesses more efficiently, and give the folks that are actually in charge of these compliance divisions the tools that they really need to be able to stay compliant, stay at the forefront of the ever-changing insurance landscape. And to do that, what we've built is a company that connects into all 51 different United States continental regulatory bodies. We haven't expanded to Guam, the VI, or Puerto Rico yet, but that's to come. And what we do is we connect to these different regulatory frameworks and regulatory agencies because over the course of a year, each one of them will put out different circulars, bulletins, memorandums, and these different things that really affect the core business and the core operations of insurance companies and everybody within their distribution value chain. So what they end up doing is putting out about roughly between 4,000 to 10,000 different pieces of legislation that really talk about what you should be doing with your product, the things you can't do, the things you can do, the changes you have to make, and when you have to do it by. And as it stands right now, a lot of companies have maybe if they're lucky, 4 to 6 people that are responsible for going to each of these 51 sites, downloading this information, reading through these dense legal documents and regulatory documents, figuring out how it impacts their business, figured out which businesses impacts, socialize it to the people that need to make the changes, including actuaries, product, underwriters, and then also send it back down to the distribution chain to let them know, like, hey, these are the changes. You have to adhere to these changes. That is an effort that, I've led governance units that I've seen fail repeatedly and consistently, unfortunately.
How is it even possible? That's kind of my first question. How is it they are expected to do all of this work? And secondarily, how do they remain sane at the same time?
I'll tell you this. I've never seen a compliance person at the water cooler who's having a good day, right? It's literally, well, Florida just put out a new edict. And to be honest with you, they end up having to basically pick the lesser of evils, which is to take the really big states of which they have concentrations and basically just try to stay compliant in those, right? So if you're a large national carrier, you basically say, you know what, I'm just going to focus on Florida, New York, Texas, and California, right? If I'm good in those states, then I think for the rest of the business, I should be fine. But the problem is, even the smallest states will hit you with 500 to a million to a $2 million fine for being non-compliant, right? So, and then there's also the operational things where you have to shut down, right? And then there's the thing that nobody ever wants to talk about is that these insurance commissioners, they talk, right? So if you're not compliant in this state, another state can find out, and that's an easy revenue opportunity for them to come after you. So it's it's table stakes for a lot of people, right? In the conversations that we've had, if you're a medium-sized insurance company, so think of those super regional ones, you're at risk of almost, between $500 to $2 million in fines, right? That's a true impact to your business, not to mention the reputational harm and everything else you have to do and the cost you have to pay for legal. Just the fine alone can be pretty substantial. So we're basically just trying to solve for that for a lot of folks that we know have that pain point. And the craziest part is a lot of them, and you and I kind of talked about this. I talked to CEOs, and it's crazy. I just talked to the CEO of who used to run a multi-$100 million MGA, but now has started his own new company. And when he was talking to his compliance person, she showed him what it takes for her to understand how their product changes based on regulations. He was like, wait, how much do we pay you? Yeah, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit more and we're going to get you some more
Yes.
people, because it's incredible, the disconnect. And it's not purposeful. It's just, when you're running an enterprise, as long as you facilitate the bodies needed to address certain things, you expect it to be done. But when you fully have an appreciation of something like this that has a true impact on your business, right? Especially if you're a distributor who, if you're out of compliance, carriers can take away your markets. Right now, you're sitting there saying, well, crap, where am I going to sell this product? So we are really, really hyper focused on this space because we really see a great value to companies. We can help you avoid fines, and we can help you save some of the estimated $42 billion that's spent annually on compliance in the States.
Unbelievable. So the process as it is right now for that lady who's the head of compliance and her ragtag team is they have to either just focus on the big states, the ones that they know are going to be the main areas of focus, or they have to consume content from every one of the regulatory bodies, parse through that content, understand how relevant that is to them, where it applies, go and communicate those changes, those necessary updates to the front line, whether it be the actuarial team or the underwriting team or distributors. Distribute that information, make sure that that information is understood and fully comprehended to the point where it's actually operationalized. It's just an unbelievable amount of work. And so this is a really good segue, because I think for those of us who are problem solvers, you're looking for pain. You're looking for time spent, repetitive, task over and over and over again that just take a significant amount of time. And you're starting to see more and more of these demos of AI being able to chip away at some of these tasks. And so it's kind of a good heuristic where there's a significant amount of time, especially in analysis, text-based analysis. AI really thrives at that. It's really good at synthesis. It's really good at taking in an exorbitant amount of data and synthesizing it in a matter of seconds, which would take us regular human beings hours and maybe days in some cases. So let's segue into this. Let's talk about what is it that AI can do here? How does AI work to help people in compliance? And the title of this episode is, how can AI help insurers stay ahead of regulatory changes? So let's talk about that.
That's a great point you just made, right? So what AI does, right? We know what AI has been touted as, right? It's the ability to synthesize large volumes of information and allow you to extract insights out of it, right? But what we think that it can also do is not only do that, right? But it can also teach, right? It can also be a teaching tool that a lot of people always talk about when they're building these businesses. They want centers of learning. They want the ability to dynamically access information, to be able to share it enterprise-wide so that everybody's up on what's going on in the company. And what we felt was, not only can we leverage the strengths that everybody understands about AI, which is I have the ability to go out into large information repositories, extract that information, bring it in, understand that information. We think now it can do something even more, which is we can take this information that we've synthesized and we've simplified. Now we could compare it to what we have out in the market. And now we can teach all the folks that need to understand it, hey, this is what you should be doing. This is what your business is going to look like once we implement these changes. And I think that's something that a lot of people are starting to key in on and say, hey, it's not just pulling the information out, right? It's what's the next step? What do I do with this information? How do I build on this information? How do I make strategic decisions around this information? And, a lot of people are starting to deploy it. Some of our really smart friends in the space are helping people make decisions based on that information, including routing it to carriers and things of that nature. But we felt that for the person who's inside the company, we can give you that same ability to use this information to change your enterprise within and without.
Just to clarify here, you're not only able to synthesize all these regulatory changes, you're able then, with understanding the different aspects of the insurance business, able to provide more precise prescriptions on how that should be applied. Is that what you're inferring with what you're
Exactly.
doing?
That's a great point. So as you know, right, in insurance, the wording changes state to state, right? It's states to state. Now, if you're somebody who's going out there reading all these documents, there's a pretty good chance that eventually you're going to end up putting Arkansas's definition of loss inside North Carolina's definition of loss in your product form when you're socializing it out. What we basically do for you is we are way more accurate. We turn reactive things into proactive things in terms of how you can take that information and disseminate it and use it, and basically take all those risk factors from the manual processes of somebody having to understand this and basically put it to the side and empower that compliance person to now be a learning center where everybody could come to and learn about what's going on in the business from a regulatory perspective.
This is just such an incredible application of AI because it's taking something that was seemingly just overly complex, so insurmountable, and it's making it tangible. It's making it actionable. This is something I mentioned in my last episode with Caleb Kramer from Launch, but the thing that makes AI, and we're seeing this trend already, the intelligence of AI, all these different models out there, they're being commoditized. The price of these are going down significantly. Those of us who are developing with it, it's amazing because the price of this technology keeps going down and down. And so I can leverage more and more of it to get better value for my customers. However, the thing that really makes for a valuable product with AI isn't the underlying AI, it's the application of it. It's the intelligent application of this. And what makes AI most effective is giving it the right inputs. So with tools like what Anthony is using with I Gather AI is the ability to understand your business, the ability to give information about your business so that the AI can provide more pointed advice and more pointed feedback on the things that need to change and the way they need to change. So you're shortening even further the time from understanding the regulatory change to actually implementing those change. And it's not just the synthesis, it's the application and the advice as well from AI. So this is an amazing use case of AI. I'm really pumped to bring you on, Anthony. For those who are all suddenly just very interested in compliance because you're helping make compliance great again, what can they do to find out more about what you're doing?
Yeah, I would love for them to just connect with me on LinkedIn, right? Anthony, last name is Alugbi, and connect with me there because that's where we're going to be pushing out updates. We're going through the formal process of really rolling it out. Right now, you know how it is. You put your head down, you build a company, you get the product in front of customers and everything like that. So that's where we are in our cycle right now. But please follow me on LinkedIn, connect with me there. I'd be more than happy to share more information. And that's going to be for the interim. That's going to be the best way for us to kind of push out the updates about the business and where we are and how close we are to making it widely available to help a lot of people solve some problems.
This is truly going to be a tremendous impact to the industry. Anthony, really great having you on. Thank you so much. And thank you for listening to the Advent of AI. Have a great day, folks.